All right, today we're digging into a truly wild idea from a book that asks us to rethink, well, pretty much the entire nature of reality. The proposal is that everything, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy, is actually made from a single unified object. It's a huge claim, right? So let's see how it all hangs together. And this is the central question. Not some small mistake like a rounding error, but a massive flaw in the very way we look at the world. I mean, that is an incredibly bold place to start. So let's follow that logic and just see where it takes us. Okay, so to really get our heads around this new idea, we first have to understand the problem it's trying to fix. And it's a big one. A giant crack running right down the middle of modern physics. So on one side, you've got Einstein's general relativity, this beautiful, elegant theory of gravity and the cosmos. And on the other side, you've got quantum mechanics, which describes the bizarre world of tiny particles with stunning accuracy. The problem? The thing is, they're fundamentally at war with each other. Their core principles just plain contradict each other. For a century, physicists have been trying to unite them. But what if the problem isn't actually in the theories? What if everyone's been looking in the completely wrong place? You know, this quote from the book really gets right to the heart of it. The thinking here is that the deep weirdness of quantum physics, all that uncertainty and probability stuff, isn't actually a feature of reality. It's a protest. It's like the universe is screaming back at us that we're trying to carve it up into pieces that don't actually exist. And that leads us to the book's core diagnosis. The flaw isn't in our physics equations. The flaw is in us. It's a flaw that's like baked right into our very perspective. Think about it. The way science works is by separating things, right? We isolate a variable, we separate the observer from the observed, a particle from a field. It's the bedrock of how we do things. But this book suggests that this very act of separation is the original sin of our physics. We just take it for granted that reality can be chopped up into these little bits for us to study. So the book actually gives this a name, the human perspective. It's our instinct to draw lines, to create categories, to say, this is not that. It's basically how our brains make sense of a really complex world. And the crucial point here is this. Our perspective, it's just the map of reality. It is not the territory itself. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. What if, at the most fundamental level, the universe is one seamless, indivisible whole? If that's true, then any theory we build based on separate parts is pretty much guaranteed to break down eventually. It's like trying to understand an ocean by studying this single isolated drop of water. You'd miss the tides, the currents. You'd miss the whole point of what an ocean even is. Okay, so if our perspective is the problem, what's the alternative? Well, this model proposes we need to stop thinking about abstract laws and start thinking about what the book calls reality's actual machinery. Now, when the author talks about machinery, they mean something really specific. It's not just a set of rules. It's the actual stuff that follows those rules, a system made of material parts that interact. So like the idea of a circle, that's not machinery. But a bicycle wheel? Yeah, that absolutely is. And the ultimate goal, the holy grail, is to find what's called complete machinery. This is a system that is totally self-contained. It's a system that doesn't need a person to use it, or an observer from the outside, or a push from somewhere else to operate. It just runs. It is its own universe. This table here really breaks it down perfectly. A pen is machinery, sure, but it's not complete. It needs you to write with it. A car is the same. But a computer? Once you give it power and a program, it can run these incredibly complex processes all by itself. It's a self-contained operating system. So the argument goes, reality itself has to be the ultimate complete machinery, needing nothing from the outside to exist and evolve. Okay, so if reality is this one indivisible, complete machine, then what on earth is it? This brings us to the book's grand proposal, the solution to everything we've been talking about. Well, it's called C-space. That's short for changing space. And this is the candidate for the one stuff that makes up everything. So you don't have fields and particles and space-time. You just have C-space, a single unified material that's always in motion, always changing its own shape. Okay, so here's how you can start to get a picture of this in your head. Think of space-time as this vast, flexible, elastic fabric. It has the 3 dimensions of space we're all familiar with, plus a dimension of time that allows it to change and evolve. It's not sitting in the space-time, it is the very fabric of space-time itself. So if everything is one fabric, where do particles come from? Well, get this. In this model, they aren't separate little things at all. They are just stable, persistent vibrations, like the constant hum of a perfectly tuned guitar string within the fabric of C-space. So an electron isn't some tiny dot. It's more like a localized, self-sustaining wiggle in the one and only material of the universe. All right, so let's put all the pieces together here. The proposal is that C-space is the single object. It's an elastic material reality with 3 spatial dimensions that's always changing over time. And here's the absolute kicker. Everything we perceive, space-time, matter, energy, all of it, it's not actually fundamental. It's all just the result of the changing shape of this one single fabric. Okay, now you're going to want to hold on, because if any of this is even remotely true, the consequences are just staggering. It completely rewrites our picture of the universe. Let's just run through a few of the biggest implications, rapid-fire style. First up, those fundamental forces we learn about, like gravity and electromagnetism, poof, they're gone. They aren't actually real. What we call a force is just our limited human perspective interpreting the internal stress and strain of the C-space fabric as it moves. Okay, next up, dark matter. You know, that mysterious stuff that makes up like 85% of the universe? It might not be some exotic new particle we have to hunt for. It could just be the gravitational effect of massive, slow-moving waves, ripples on a cosmic scale, traveling through the space-time fabric itself. And what about time? Why does it only seem to move forward? This model suggests it's not because of some abstract law of entropy. Nope, it's built right into the machinery. The fabric itself is designed to change in one direction, kind of like a movie that can only play in one direction. It's a physical property of the material itself. And this just perfectly illustrates the ultimate takeaway. In this view, there were no separate particles, no mysterious forces, no empty space. There was only C-space. Everything we see and are, you, me, the stars, we're all just the incredibly complex, ever-evolving geometry of this one single underlying thing. And this final quote really brings it all home. The theory suggests that our deeply felt sense of being separate individuals, well, it's an illusion. It's a trick of our human perspective. In this view, we aren't just connected, we are literally different patterns unfolding within the very same continuous object. And so that's where we land with this question. If this idea is even close to the truth, that we are all just patterns in one single connected fabric, what does that change? I mean, really, what does that change about how we see ourselves, each other, and our place in the whole cosmos?